Hey everyone, this is Michael Cohen, the Tech Rabbi, and welcome to another tech tutorial. Today we're going to talk about the macOS version of Keynote and how you can make some pretty incredible motion graphics and animations using the software. And what I like about Keynote is that it doesn't require you to learn a new type of program to perform these motion graphic animation type tasks, where using After Effects by Adobe, or using Motion with Final Cut, or using some other advanced animation application can be something that could be overwhelming, complicated, and the bottom line is a lot of people use Keynote, and it's great to know that while you're in your presentation or in a space that you're comfortable with, that you can create some pretty incredible designs, pretty incredible animations. So gonna watch a quick rundown of this 9-panel set of animations, and then I'm going to explain how I did it. And sometimes it's really nice to know that I can deliver you a concise, clear, step-by-step process where it took me hours of breaking my head trying to figure out how to create these things and simplify it so that you can pick up where I left off and create amazing things. Okay, so now that we watched that, you can see that I have a couple different methods of creating animations. So the first is Magic Move. It's super straightforward, it's super simple. It takes one slide, and whatever you do on the second slide, it's going to create the in-between the point A and the point C and create this point B, which is the animation. So you see here, I have this title, How to Create Animations in Keynote Using Magic Move, with my Tech Rabbi logo. And then under here, out of the view, there is the MacBook and the 2 iPads. So I click on the slide, I go to the Animate tab over here, and usually it'll be selected as none, and I select Magic Move. Now when I copy and duplicate the slide to the next one, I simply moved the title and the logo out of the field of vision, and I put the Mac and the iPads right over there in the middle. And so when you play this, you see that it just literally moves up. Now, the next piece that I did right there is a different process. So I added an icon. It's a PNG, so it has a invisible background. It doesn't have a white square like a JPEG. And I assigned to that icon a action, right? So there's the build-ins, there's the action, there's the build-outs, right? So you can utilize those 3 strategies however you feel will work out. You can add an effect, which creates an animation that can create some really interesting movement. And what usually happens with these animations is that we put blocks of text on our presentations and we cause our giant bullet points to animate in some cool way. And while that does work, although it actually really doesn't work, so you should never do that, it can be utilized as a really powerful tool to have visuals get a certain level of action and desired result. So here I selected the action. I actually have multiple actions, so I can show both of them. So one action that I have is that I have it moving from the dock of the MacBook up into the center of the screen and then becoming larger. And so the way that you engage with multiple actions on your different objects is by adding the action, of course, and you can add another action if you would choose to. You go to build order, and you can actually figure out what is going on and how it's going to interact. And that's really important. One of the things with this animation process is that timing is crucial. And the default usually creates some sort of level of delay or some sort of performance time of the action. And you need to adjust that to be able to successfully create some of these animated features. So I do the scale, I do the move, and I'm able to set the duration and things of that nature. Okay, the next slide over here takes the computer and iPads and it moves it up. I have a solar system title here that's actually on this title, on this slide here is actually hidden behind the computers. And I have this other shape right here. I'm going to zoom out so you can see it. It's a rectangle and a triangle. And the way that I created this, just to show you real quick, it's pretty powerful the way in which you're able to create animation and also create custom shapes in Keynote. So I go over here and I can actually join together different objects, and you're actually able to, hold on, I'll get there yet. You go to Arrange, you click on both of these, and you can actually unite them and join them as one solid shape. And then you're able to utilize that however you see fit. So I actually used it for the following process that I'll demonstrate real quick, which is, as you click on that, it covers the title and makes it disappear in a kind of a neat way. So here we are on this solar system, and this one took me the longest. This one was a huge headache, and the truth is, for the output, I'm not sure if it was worth it, but I'm going to break down this process for you. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the black background, and you're going to see that I have a series of orbiting rings around the sun, and the solar system titles there. I'm going to get rid of that as well, just to show you what's going on here. So what's going on is you are able to send a object around a path, on a path, and have it move in that custom path. And so you're going to see a couple other examples where it's really simple, really straightforward, but for whatever reason, and I Googled multiple times trying to find a YouTube video or some sort of solution to fix this. But basically, this is what happens. I'm going to make a new slide so that you can see it fresh and not be distracted by the other objects. I'm going to make my orbiting ring right now. And then I'm going to create the style. I'm going to take the fill off of it so that it's just right now it's invisible, so to speak, even though it's there. And then I'm going to create my celestial body, right? I'm going to create my planet. And what I want to do is I want to have all the planets in a nice line, coming across the process, coming across in a straight line here, horizontal, all lined up so that they all move around the orbit together. So the way that you get an object to run on a path is you select both of them, right? And then you go to Format. And under the Format tab at the top of the screen, you have this Shapes and Lines feature here. And you actually are able to make motion path from shape. And it's going to ask you to click the shape that will generate the motion path. So if you can see here, whichever one you click, that's going to be the motion path. So when I click on the larger circle, which I want the motion path, it moves over here. And I'm like, well, that works if I'm just doing a random rotation, but I want them to all be lined up over here. And if I had them lined up, because it's going to do that to every single one of them, they're all going to be out of the field of vision on the canvas here. So I was kind of bothered by that. And so what I was trying to do is actually I was trying to move it. And when I moved it like that, I realized, oh, hey, when I go monitor the animation motion path by clicking on that red triangle, well, my motion path has now moved over here, and it's going to look pretty ridiculous when it tries to make that motion. So then I undid it, and I said, oh, okay, fine. So I'm going to go like this, and then, oh, wow, that like is really crazy and frustrating, and right, it's just like not working. So I'm thinking to myself, like, how am I going to get this to work? So then I was like manually moving, the circle around here like this. And I'm just thinking to myself, if I teach high school, right, or if I teach elementary school, and the point is that I'm trying to get the students to engage in this powerfully visual, hands-on process to really master some sort of solar system astronomy concept or a molecular atomic concept. This could be nice, but if it's adding an extra 20 minutes of, fidgeting and moving around, it's going to be hard to get teachers to buy into that, understandably. So I got it to work, and that's the way it works. So basically, it runs along that path, and you can then decide how quickly that animation process is going to happen, that action with the move feature, right? So what I was trying to quickly Google is, what is the speed of the different planets, and trying to get them, in the ratio of seconds to years, to get them to move at different rates. And it works for the most part. You can up the duration there. You can add in, ease out, etc. But let me go back over here so you understand what kind of complex build order is going on here, right? So this thing has 34 build orders here. And each one of the build orders is actually, let me just undo here so I can get back that black background, right? So the build orders here are breaking down each component, and you can see what it's doing. And this is where it gets really tricky, right? So you want the first one to begin either after the transition, if it's in the middle of something, or on the click. And the good news about this process is that you can actually export a Keynote file to a QuickTime movie. And when you do that, you actually can quickly set a self-playing standard for going between the next build and the next slide, right? So just so you know that you don't have to be too worried about the progressions, but you do need to have an understanding of building the timing and the different features, right? So you have the circle here, then I have the sun, right? So this is the order which things are going to pop up, and I can decide how long that pop-up activity is going to take, and then I can say here, the sun is going to be after build 1, after build 2, and after, right, and so on. So you can see here that many times it's after. It can also be with the build, and depending on the timing of it, you can have timing offsets, but it's going to all start at the same time. And as you can see here on the right side of the screen, over here, as I scroll down, you can see that I changed the various timings for the orbits here. That's where I meant to be, right? So the orbits here, each one of these has, a different time. And then I had the circles actually disappear, which is kind of unnecessary, but it was bothering me that when I moved to the next panel here, that it showed the black lines as it was disappearing. So over here, this one's pretty neat. And this one shows a standard path and has the motion path on that path that I drew. So over here, I simply have this blue background with the text of the next theme attached, grouped together, and then I have it just simply moving up here, and so you can see that happen, right? You click play, and it moves up, and you're like, oh, that was so cool, right? So over here, on this panel, I have a pretty interesting process. So I've created, you can't see it here, well, you can if you have really good eyes. There is a custom path here, right? So I basically went in here, used the pen tool, and I made this custom path, following the map that I researched on, Magellan's voyage. This was, the rough of his voyage, and he made it around the world. So I had, it go out of view and then come over here and then come back, right? So you have this path that you've created, right? And you literally can create a circle, right? And you can tell the circle by selecting both of these to go to Format, Shapes and Lines, once again, Motion Path, click the path, and it's going to move on that. Now, over here, when I press play, it's going to be out of view, but basically this thing is going to run all the way down, and it's going to create a path, an organic path for this boat to sail around the world. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to map the journey. I didn't want to just have the boat moving around and then you forgetting the progress that was made as the boat advances. So I actually created a second copy of that design, and I created a action here. Let me go to build order, and I have sorry, actually it wasn't an action, it was a build-in. So I have a build-in here, and that build-in actually, and this feature is only available when you create a line using the pen tool or using one of the line tools, but it will actually let you draw out the line. And so what I said to the line at the start here is that it would do it with build 1, so that it would follow the boat as it went, and it looks like the boat is drawing out the course. And you can see here, I made sure the boat moves along its line for 8 seconds, and then I made sure that the line over here has its duration for 8 seconds, right? And you can have it ease in, ease out, you can have it do none, delivery all at once, and then what you get is you get a boat that moves and the line looks like it's drawing and it's following it. And it's not perfect. Could I make the line 7 seconds, right? I think a lot of the times what we need to focus on is that perfect is the enemy of done, and especially when we're talking about not having a lot of time to engage in quote-unquote creative projects, that we want to make best use of our times. And really that just boils down to good planning, good resources, right? So sharing this video with your students might alleviate some of the challenges of you either not feeling confident and comfortable presenting this on your own, and of course, just giving them that resource so that they can have it to answer any questions and really create an extension of you as usually the sole resource in the classroom. So the next design here, I created this little blood cell logo with the cells in the background and this red square, and as you can see here, it just moves across the screen. Now, this one right here, I grouped a couple red blood cells together, and I put them onto a different path, and it took a little bit of tweaking to get the red blood cells to actually keep inside of the blood vessel, but it ended up working out quite nicely. And so you can see here that for the most part, they're all in there. And then one of the things about these motion graphics is it's not just, oh, they made an animation that was great, because like they could have, created a worksheet, they could have created a poster, they could have done a hand drawing. What's happening is you're giving them an opportunity to create a visual that is going to allow them to educate someone else and actually create an artifact of learning that someone else will benefit from. So it's not just, oh, I want to know that they are understanding the content to make coverage occur in the class and ensure that coverage is being conducted on the curricular end of it, and that we're assessing the students, but how can a student create something that others will benefit from, I think is really important, and it will increase the level of value in which the students place on the work that they do when they know that their grade is reliant on them helping others. They will be into that, and I think they'll appreciate that, and it also helps with audience. The other thing is that each one of these examples can be narrated, and be used as an opportunity for students to develop not just their visual communication skills, but their verbal communication skills. Sort of like this tutorial that you've been listening to for the past 10, 15 minutes. So that's a basic rundown of some of the ways in which you can use Magic Move, Motion Path, and the different build-in, build-out, and actions to create some pretty engaging and cool looking animations. So thanks again for watching this. If you made it to the end of this video, I always appreciate that. Please consider subscribing. Please like this video and share it out if you feel like someone else can benefit from this conversation. Thanks for watching.